blue light on. All right, awesome. All right, this is 8.3, applying equations. 8.3, applying equations. So what happens here is often we get to applications with word problems, and so that's the situation here. We're going to deal with some word problems, and so first off, some things that we already know, but just remind ourselves. So we're going to need to write equations. How are we going to do that? Well, first thing we want to do is name the, somebody raise their hand, what goes in the blank there? John? Name the variable. NTV is important, and it becomes more important in this kind. Sam, are you on strike, or you already have it filled in? All right. So we're going to name the variable NTV, and that's how we're going to start it off. The word is the, who can give me this? Somebody raise their hand. What would go here? The is the, go ahead, Sam. It is the equal sign. Sometimes the phrase or the word problem will say equals, but a lot of times the word is will be there. And the is an equal sign. That's pretty easy. The next thing you want to do is use keywords to write the relationships. Use keywords. You know what? Let's get rid of the word key. Let's use a better word there. Use operational. Because that's what the keywords are. Use operational words to write the relationships. You know, times is an operational word, multiplication. A product is an operational word, means multiply. Quotient would be an operational word, meaning divide. Minus would be an operational word for subtraction, etc., right? Add for addition. And so use operational words. And then, of course, when you solve, don't forget to ask the mams. How did I get to black from green? Don't forget to ask the mams. All right, so that's the idea. Name the variable. Look for the is, because, look, we did phrases already, but now we're doing equations. Not a big deal. Going to be an equal sign somewhere. Use your operational words, and when you solve, don't forget to ask the mams. Let's do an example here. All right, so the sum of a number and 7 is half the number. All right, so first thing we need to do is NTV. What would go under the NTV? Jack? Just N? Want to say anything else? It's not a whole lot in this one, but usually you want to say what N is. Andrew? Yeah, N is simply the number in this case. And it's pretty basic, but it is the number. Okay, so we named the variable. That's good. All right, now we're going to start looking at the wording. I like to get the equal sign in there right away. It just makes life a little bit easier. We are dealing with equations, and so, you know, if you get the equal sign in, it makes life a little bit easier. So the equal sign is the word is. So there's our is, and I'm going to stick the equal sign in for the is, right? Okay, so where would you go from here? Anybody got any thoughts? What would be your next move? Again, everybody needs to be thinking, because it's going to be your brain doing them in just a couple minutes. So you need to be thinking. Jordan, what do you want to do? Okay, so what operational word are you looking at? What word? Sum. So again, we're going to take the word sum, we're going to say addition, and Jordan already told us what to sum up. Well, how do I say the number, Jordan? Okay, n is the number, right? We named our variable. And so we're summing up the number and 7, right? So that's simple. N plus 7, the number and 7. All right, we've taken care of the left side of the equal sign. How are we going to deal with this right-hand side of the equal sign? Gabe? All right, We've dealt with this a couple different ways. N divided by 2 is an acceptable way for half the number. What's the other way you could do it? Ileana? A half times n. So either way is acceptable. I'm going to put this or over here. A half times n. To be honest with you, it's probably going to help you guys the most. I'm going to put it in that way. Again, if you know what you're doing, it really doesn't matter either way. But that format's probably a little bit better format for you. Okay, well, we got to solve the problem. So we did the first part. And you can see there's a lot of steps to getting these correct. You have to, of course, write a correct equation. And now we got to solve it. All right, so you're looking at this equation. It's set. Think, what would you do next? What's your next move in this equation? I'm going to start calling on people without their hands up, just so you know. So think, what would you do next? Edgewater, what would you do next? Okay, so Edgewater said, let's move the 1/2 n by adding negative 1/2 n to both sides. And that's the correct choice, right? At this point, you're looking at variables on both sides. So let's get all the variables on one side. You could also choose to move the n to the other side, but I like the aspect of moving the 1/2 n by adding negative 1/2 to both sides. I'm going to make this 1n just for clarity's sake. And I'm going to add to it negative 1/2 n. I still have on the left-hand side, would you agree, the plus and the 7 and then the equal sign? Right? Would you agree I added a negative 1/2 to that left side? Remember, we don't add fractions well vertically, right? Fractions don't add well vertically. They add a whole lot better horizontally. And the right would be the 1/2 n minus the 1/2 n, right? Okay, I think most of you can do this in your head. If you can't, then you're going to have to do it the long way. So I want everybody just to get what would happen when you do that inside the box. I'm going to ask you on 3 to tell me what you think that becomes. You got a 1n minus a 1/2 n. So what does that become? And I'm going to ask you on 3. All right. If you have an answer, give it. If you don't have one, you don't have to say something. 1, 2, 3. 1/2 n. All right. Good. And again, I think the formatting is a little bit easier if we just go 1/2 n. All right. We still got the plus 7. And what does the right-hand side equal? Say it if you know it. 0, right? 1/2 n minus 1/2 n is 0. Okay. What's next? Ooh, I got to squeeze everything in. What's next? Nick? I'm going to move that 7 by adding a negative 7 to both sides. I now have a 1/2 n left on the left, and I have a negative 7 on the right. Do you agree? Right? The 1/2 n is left on the left and the negative 7 on the right. How do I finish this thing out? How would I finish this? Abby? All right, I'm going to multiply both sides as soon as I can grab my green here. Pink keeps getting in the way. So I'm going to multiply the left by 2 over 1. Multiply the right by 2 over 1. Hey, is your answer going to be positive or negative? Okay, will you please think that when you're doing quizzes and tests? Okay, you guys keep forgetting or losing your negative signs. Don't miss the problem because of that. So the answer is negative what? Negative 14. So our number is actually negative. You can go back and stick it in and see if it comes true. Negative 14 plus 7 is negative 7. What's a half times negative 14? Negative 7. Negative 7 equals negative 7. That's what makes that word problem true. It is what it is. Okay, let's do another one. Get rid of my shade so I can put this higher. All right. Don't look at that bottom one. Let's look at B here. All right, so twice the sum of a number and 2 is 8 less than the opposite of the number. First thing to do is NTV. So again, this problem, same as the other one, n equals the number. Not a whole lot there, but it really does get us organized, and it'll begin to matter. The more complex the problems get, the more important NTV becomes. So look, just get it in your process now so that when they're more complicated, we're already used to it and we'll know what to do with it. Okay, what would you do next? Austin, what would you do next? Okay, and what do you want me to do with that is? Put the equal sign. Again, I like to get that equal sign out of the way. It establishes the sides of the equation, makes life a little easier. Okay, so now I'm looking, I usually look for keywords on the left. And we're right back to where we were last time, right? You got the keyword of sum. So I know I got to add. So what would you put in front of the plus sign and what would you put behind the plus sign? Everybody think. And then I'll call on somebody in a minute. So how would you say twice the sum of a number and 2? Twice the sum of a number and 2. This one's tricky. Sneeze is coming. It's going to be bad on. I should pause. Be like 8.5 on the Richter scale. Usually when I say that, it stops, so that's good. All right. Usually when I announce my sneezes, for some reason, they never come. This is a tricky one. You have to say twice the sum of a number and 2. Sam, you want to try it? So Sam is saying, let's see, let's use, I'm going to use red for twice. So Sam is saying 2n plus 2. Did we do twice the sum of a number and 2? Do you think we did that? So how do we fix it? We're not quite there. As I said, this one's tricky. Connor? You got to have that parentheses there, right? Again, it's a tricky one. You say, how would I have ever known to do that? Well, I'm showing it to you, right? To get it in your thought process. Yeah. Isn't that twice the sum of a number and 2, right? We doubled the number in 2. And that is 8 less than the opposite of the number. Oh, this is a good one. All right. Twice the sum of a number and 2 is 8 less than the opposite of the number. It's awesome. It's so awesome. Okay, let's take just one part of it. Andrew, you want to give me part of it? So you want to give me all of it, huh? You want to say 8 minus n? I wouldn't write anything yet. How many agree with 8 minus n? 8 less than the opposite of the number. Sam's hanging with you, Andrew. How many agree? How many disagree? And how many have no earthly idea? All right, a few willing to admit that. Twice the sum of a number and 2 is 8 less. So let's just deal with the opposite of the number. Do you agree negative n is the opposite of the number? Hopefully you would there, right? We started off the whole year with opposite numbers. If I said 2 is the number, what's its opposite? You all would say negative 2. If I said negative 7, the opposite would be 7. So if we said n, the opposite would be negative n. So that one's good. So Andrew's good on the negative n. The only question is it 8 minus n? Is it 8 minus n? So again, you got to be careful. That's what makes word problems tricky. Twice the sum of a number and 2 is 8 less. Isn't this side 8 less Isn't the left-hand side 8 less than the opposite of the number? If I add 8 to the side, wouldn't this side then be more already? Isn't the right side the more side? If the left is less, the right is more. I just added 8 to the side that was already more. Is that going to make the equation true? And the answer is no. This is a negative 8. So you can do it two ways. You can do negative 8 minus n or minus n minus 8, but that is a negative. Now that's tricky, and you have to use some logic. You have to think. That's what makes word problems quite interesting. Jack. So why do you still have your hand up? Okay, so let's finish the problem. We do have distributing on this problem. 2 times n is, say it if you know it. And then we have to distribute. 2 times 2 is, and we got to use that plus sign, right? And that equals negative n minus 8. All right, so I look at this problem. I say I got variables on both sides. Let's move the negative n from the left to the right by adding its opposite to both sides. Now we're at 3n plus 4 equals, don't lose your negatives. It's a negative 8, right? Next step. What do you want to do next? Lauren? I agree. We're going to move that 4 by adding its opposite to both sides. That'll be a negative 4 to both sides. What's the value on the right-hand side? Negative 12, right? And again, be careful. If I do that, I want everybody. If not, I want you to think and raise your hand. So 8 negatives and 4 more negatives, 12 negatives, right? Don't mess that up. All right, how am I going to finish it? How am I going to finish it? Blake? No Kool-Aid for some of you guys. I agree. It's a 3, right? I wrote it wrong from from what was up above, right? That was a 3, not a 2. All right, so how am I going to finish this, Blake? Going to divide both sides by 3, right? To move that 3. Is our answer going to be positive or negative? Negative again. Just so happens I picked 2 negative problems. Negative 12 divided by 3 is a negative 4. And again, if I had a little bit more time, I'd go back in and try that answer and make sure it works. That's what I would do. When I'm taking a quiz or a test, I'm going to go back. As soon as I finish my quiz or test, I finish the problems, I'm going to go back and start checking my answers. You can check it by putting negative 4 in for the n in both spots. Be careful here. What's negative a negative 4? What's negative a negative 4? Positive 4, right? So that would be a positive 4 minus 8 when you go back and check. Okay, go ahead and try C. 3 less than 4 times the number is 6 more than the number. And that should be a then a the. First edition notes for you guys. 3 less than 4 times a number is 6 more than the number. Done already, Kyle? Does the mams like your answer? Oh, yeah. Write the equation, solve the equation. Write the equation and solve the equation. Here, I'll give you guys a hint. There you go. I know you need that. Is your answer positive and negative, those of you that are done? Positive for once. Interesting. Does the ma'ams like your answer? So you went back and checked it? Mine works. All right, so if you are done on 3, give me your answer. 1, 2, 3. 3. Should have been on 3. Okay, good. That means a lot of you did the +6, or you could have done on the left -6. So for you to get 3, you must have done that +6. Awesome. This is the way I did it. I said, hey, this is 6 more. Therefore, I need to add 6 to this side to make it equal, right? This is 6 more, then this needs 6. You can play with numbers. You'll make this 16. This would be 10. This is 6 more. How do you make them equal? Add 6. So how many got that right? It was a bunch of you guys. All right, good. Good job. Again, those are some of the harder ones because the 6 more comes after the is. But again, you have to read the question and you got to think about it. And that's why you have to practice. That's why you need to do your homework tonight. That's why you need to not be a fool and cheat and copy someone else's homework. Because then all of a sudden when your brain has to do it, you're not going to be able to do it. Or be foolish and go on the internet and let the internet answer your questions. Because we are living in that day and age, aren't we? And a lot of you already know you can go on the internet and ask questions, and people on the internet will give you the answers. Well, you're not helping yourself. Gee, I'm getting a good grade. Not when it counts on the quiz and test, you're not. So don't be foolish. All right, let's go with a couple special situations. So your next sheet there in your notes. We have to deal with naming the variable with consecutive numbers. So consecutive numbers go like this: 7, 8, 9. 10, 11, 12, those would be consecutive numbers. 37, 38, 39 would be consecutive numbers. 50, 51, 52, consecutive numbers. -10, -9, -8, -7, consecutive numbers. Okay, so in naming consecutive numbers, make the first number n. That's pretty easy. So here, I want to get you to think, and I only have a couple minutes left to do it, so I got to do it a little quickly here. I'm going to give you a number. I want you to tell me the next consecutive number. I know this is hard. You'll have to really think, but I think you can do it. So I'm going to shout out a number. You shout out the next consecutive number. Here we go. 11. You guys are amazing. Wow. What brains. All right, let me give you a hard one. 39. Amazing, remarkable. 113. Remarkable. Here we go. N. All right. Don't say anything else. Shh, shh, shh. Quiet, please. Don't say anything else. So let's go back again. If I say 9, you're going to say, think about what you're doing. If I say 17, you're going to say, think about what you're doing. So if I say N, you're going to say, quiet, please. You never want to use another variable because then you won't be able to solve the problem. So we don't want to say M or Z or Q. So let's go back again because some of you still don't have it, and this is the key concept. All right, if I say 10, next consecutive number is, think about what you're doing. Shh, think about what you're doing. 88. So you guys are all amazing. Think about what you're doing to get that next number. Okay, 115. Think about what you're doing to get that next number. N. Okay, I heard a lot of it that time. N plus 1. Right? Didn't you add 1 to the number every time? You did. Now the third number, be careful. Because we're now the third number down. So I'm going to give you 2 numbers, and then you're going to give me the third. All right? So 11, 12. Okay. 15, 16. All right, this one's a little tricky. N plus 1. Awesome. N plus 2. Very good. Very good. All right, and think about it, 10, 11, 12, right? And that's the way that's always the way with consecutive numbers, always. So if you can't do it on your own, that's the answer there, and just borrow it. Let's deal with odd numbers. Oh no, odds. Or evens first, I'm sorry. We'll do odds in a minute. Here, let's count by evens. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. All right, so I'm going to give you an even number. Give me the next consecutive even number, 16. You guys are amazing. You're just math marvels. It's just, I can't believe it. 90. N. N plus 2, right? Wasn't that what you were doing every time to get the next? I'm sorry, I didn't even do the first one yet. I'm one down the road. Oh! So that one's N. And then the second is N plus 2. So again, if I say something like 12 and 14, you're going to say, and if I say 30, 32, you're going to say, so if I say N plus 2, you're going to say N plus 4. And that's always that way. That never changes. Never, 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 never. All right, well, what about consecutive odd? 1, 3, 5, 7, 9, 11, 13. So you give me the next consecutive odd. 21. Amazing. 39. Remarkable. All right, here we go. N. Quiet, please. Quiet, please. No talking. Let's try it again because we were off that time. You're not thinking. Give me the next consecutive number. 17. Remarkable. Everybody got it right. All right. 85. Everybody got it right. Next consecutive odd. N. Quiet, please. No more talking. Again, I didn't hear a lot of correct answers, if any. So let's try it again because you're not thinking about what you're doing. You're not. 11. Think about what you did. No talking now. Think about what you did. 23. Think about what you just did. N. It's N plus 2. Didn't you add 2? How do you get from 3 to 5? Add 2. How do you get from 5 to 7? Add 2. How do you get from 11 to 13? Add 2. How do you get from 25 to 27? Add 2. But you said this is an odd number. Yeah, I know. We're still counting by 2s. Consecutive odds is counting by 2s, and consecutive evens is counting by 2s. So therefore, I did it again, didn't I? So the third number's got to be N plus 4. And that's the way it is with consecutive, even, or consecutive odd. All right, I would have loved to have had time to do the last problem for you, but I am just about out of time. Here, we'll do it real fast. We'll set it up. NTV. 2 consecutive odd numbers. So I'm going to say first number, second number. Consecutive odds. So we just went through that. First would be N, and the second would be N plus 2, right? My is the equal. Sum says add. And add the 2 consecutive ones, the N and the N plus 2, right? And what is it? 84, right? There's the equation. We would solve that. And then we'd have to figure out the 2 numbers. I'll finish this with you tomorrow. But I will tell you this. When you get N, let's say you figure out N is, I don't know, 71. How would you get the second number? Add 2 to it. The next number is plus 2. If the first is 71, the second's got to be 73. So think about that type of a question. All right, here's your work for tonight. I'm sure you enjoyed the night off yesterday. All right, let me stop the video.